worst case scenario, this guy fires it back up, right? And he starts doing his execute exploit, which he's targeting the same vault over and over. It's 30610 vault, which is an ETH-B collateral vault. But he's basically liquidating that vault and then buying it at auction and then basically redoing the auction over and over. So it's kind of a never-ending exploit. And that's all, that's all what it is, We can't stop it to a degree, but there is the oracle and there is the price feed oracle and there is a way to call this poke function on this price feed oracle. I know there is. And there is a certain value that you can put into this oracle to make it to where it sees P-WETH for what it is, because we know that Pulsechain wrapped Ethereum is not what Ethereum's value is, of course. That is the biggest dispute about the whole thing, is because when these things were forked over, all these Pulse chain forked copies, there was, I don't know why. Why would Richard fork these copies over and leave them like this? You know what I mean? Why a few months ago did he screenshot all of these P copies? Pdai was first. He put it on his Twitter. He screenshotted the chart, whatever he said, the X's, doesn't matter. Then he did wrapped Bitcoin. He did the same thing. And then all of a sudden there's shit, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, fine, whatever. You want to do that? Fine, we'll play your game. It's like, okay, so if all these protocols are why did you ever make Pulse Chain? Why would you make a copy of Ethereum for all the copies to be bullshit? Like they're just an exploit? Is that what this is? Is that what Pulse Chain is? Is just a big exploit? We're supposed to just play this game?
Yeah,
Is
I can answer that because I think there's a bit of a misconception of like what he was trying to do when he made Pulse Chain. When he forked Pulse Chain, it was a system state copy of Ethereum, meaning all the protocols on Ethereum were forked over to Pulse Chain. But none of them were. He had no intention of fixing these protocols to have these protocols working like the MakerDAO or Aave or any of that. And the only reason all of it matters when it comes to exploits is because he forked over the tokens as well, the ERC20s, right, the world's largest airdrop. But his intention was never to fork the blockchain Ethereum and then fix all the broken systems that forked over as well. And
badly.
what happened was us plebs decided to buy up these broken copies of the real coins that were part of broken systems and protocols. And then Maria decides, because she messed up and bought a ton of Pdai, that to get her money or his money out, I keep calling her. So two things happened. One, he forked the chain, not intending to fix all these protocols that he had no interest in. He just wanted a fork of Ethereum, and that's exactly what we got. He never said to us, "Hey, go and buy these shitty copy coins that are part of broken protocols that I'm never going to fix. Cause I don't care. I don't want Maker on Pulse Chain. I don't want Aave on Pulse Chain. I don't want staked ETH on Pulse Chain. I don't want none of this. I've given you a faster, cheaper Ethereum. You've got a Uniswap DEX style DEX with a buy and burn token. You've got a farm token. This is what I'm giving you." But us plebs decided we're going to buy up these coins, and then a developer created a whole ecosystem around it, and it created this monster that got out of control, that had an exploit. It had a bug. And despite Richard warning us, even a while back, he warned us about admin keys. Like, he said these subtle things, and we still kept buying it. And even now to this day, he's literally telling us in black and white, "You're idiots. You're still buying this." And what is going on? People are still buying it. So a blockchain that has all these protocols on it, there's going to be issues. And if he didn't do the world's largest airdrop, none of this stuff would even matter. Like the issues of these broken protocols wouldn't even matter because there's no tokens to mint or buy or do anything with. But the mix of forking the chain with broken protocols that don't work on Pulse Chain, and then giving an airdrop away. So there's also tokens within these vaults and within these protocols. Just it caused some shit. But at the end of the day, like you can't really blame him. You got no one to blame but the people that were pushing this fake narrative knowingly. And I will say Maria as well. She was part of the push, right? She created a whole ecosystem, atropa, which is literally the word atropa is a name of a poisonous plant, and that's exactly what it's done. It's kind of poisoned the ecosystem, and yeah, that's that.
fees, which obviously is not working out because our gas fees. Anytime Richard says something, the gas fees turn into you're spending $2 a transaction on whatever the you want to do. He could probably adjust the gas prices,
Yeah, I mean
but
all that can be adjusted, and like yeah, I mean when the network's really busy on Pulse Chain, yeah, I mean I think it was like $20 gas fees the other day, right? And
right.
yeah, but yeah, so is that your point that it's not a cheaper, faster Ethereum?
Well, it could be, I guess. But the biggest thing that I'm struggling with here is that there is just one thing that we need to fix on Maker to make this thing work, and it's this price oracle. I
Yeah. Do you
uh,
okay? So we've been doing this for like 3, 4
I
days
know,
now.
I know. I sent the
No,
actual price oracle to you guys, and there's values, and someone adjusted the price 6 months ago, and it's the 0000 address. That's the ending address.
but okay,
He is
but
the one. He's the one. Sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off,
sorry,
but
go
just let
ahead,
me.
go ahead.
He is the one who exploited compound dye as well a couple months ago. And according to Maria in these emails that are going on right now, he's saying that this is the dye team, which I'm not, it's Maria. He's, you take it for what it's worth. He's saying that this is all the dye team doing what they are doing to force the actual die maker protocol to go to auction, which the joy value is dropped by over half today. We're at like 400 million dot. We're actually less than that now. We're at 370 million. So the if the exploiter stops, which he has been for over 30 hours now, we'll go to auction here in about looks like 5 days. And after that, there's going to be an auction for Maker, right? And everyone will have the chance to participate to buy Maker for cheap. And it'll be at possibly a discount of like, I don't know, it'll probably start at 25% or something. And you're going to exchange the die for that, Pdai, for this cheaper Maker token, which will burn the die supply. Like after the auction is over, all that die gets burned. So I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing or a good thing. I've been racking this in my brain over and over for the past 4 days. I haven't left my computer, just like a lot of you guys haven't. And I know that like you can look at what Richard's saying. He's like, just buy pump tires. It's like buy the memes. And that's the easiest thing to do. That's like what everyone does. It's like, is that what Pulse Chain was really made for? Why would you fork Ethereum to just make it a pump tires chain?
Because the fact of the matter is, when Richard did fork Ethereum, it was not going to be a pump tires chain. But guess what? The meta's changed. Solana's a pump dot fun chain, and guess what? It's the number one chain. What everybody goes on to. It doesn't matter what Richard planned to do. Richard wants adoption, and the fact of the matter is, to get adoption, pump tires has to run, because that's what the meta is right now. That's what people are interested in. Nobody cares what kind of technology you have or how fast your blockchain is or that we're cheaper than ETH. No, people want to buy memes. That's what the people want to do. And that's what we need to get adoption.
I agree with you though, but like as soon as he shills pump tires, the things pump and then they dump. It's like just pump it. Is that what he really wants, or he wants glory? He's always said he wants glory. That's not glory.
Yeah,
No,
I, like-
what he wanted was all the projects to come over and start developing on Pulse Chain. After 2 years, that has not happened whatsoever, and there's just been these small community takeover events of these forked P copies without any actual dev teams allowing for all of these exploits to happen. What Richard Hart wanted in the beginning, unfortunately, did not unfold at all, and he had to pivot time and time again. Unfortunately,
yeah.
So I got a question
Yeah,
for you,
but the
Ironclad.
issue is that Pulsechain started as with the world's largest airdrop narrative that we were the world's largest airdrop, and that was going to be the thing. Well, guess what? That failed. So yes, Richard needs something else. Unfortunately, the narrative that Richard wanted, which was that. Oh, we have Gary Woods in the chat. Hello, Gary. Just wanted to say hi. But yeah, the fact of the matter is, Richard's plan didn't work. Nobody really cared that it was the world's biggest airdrop. That didn't matter. So now again, we have to move on to other things. And when we have
Exactly.
people that are just buying Pdai, buying it because it's a fake narrative. Because at first, yes, Richard played into it. That's because guess what? It was good. It was bringing adoption. But guess what? Now somebody's exploiting it.
Look,
Somebody's taking money away from the chain, from away from us, all of us. Somebody's taking money away from us, and guess what? Now Pdai is bad for him. So yes, we shouldn't. He's telling us not to buy Pdai again, all for his interests, the interests of the chain, our interests.
Yeah, the big deciding factor there is he was anticipating potentially these issues to happen, but he also anticipated the dev team to come along with it. So if these issues popped up, they could actually be fixed. In this scenario, there's no dev team that came with PDI, so there's no easy way to fix it. It's just months and months and months
Well,
of
that's
it
a weird
extracting
scenario.
value.
That's a weird scenario. But however,
It's
Lawrence had his hand up there. Please. That's
yeah,
a
Oh
I'll,
my
weird
I'll get
goodness,
scenario
I
there,
appreciate
Kyle.
that.
Very
What is an
weird.
independent developer? What was that one thing where you repeated that thing? Hey, can I ask my question all the way? Am I mute? Am I muted?
You're good.
Yeah, you're good,
I
bro.
hear
Okay.
you. You're
I
good.
say we're in good company. I appreciate it. And I'm around some noobs in the other room that they bear note about half of the stuff that you guys are even talking about. So that's what I'm saying for the noobs of everybody who has actually bought this P died like coin that we've got on our chat up here for participators. What is that thing? So when you got $1 or two to throw into like a little project, all right, and you get a scale for it. Now that we've got a scale, what was the moral or the storyline to buy at the low and sell the high? So you set a relative, whatever the case is. So now that we've got tools, like I don't know, like how's version 3 on whatever liquidity on was it 9 inch? Not 9 inch. It is 9 inch because 9 millimeter didn't necessarily work out exactly right. What was the point is so at least we have the tools now.
P
That
died is a
We're
better
grabbing
P
that shit
die,
bit by bit,
and
baby.
I hope it goes to $1.
Yeah, definitely.
Good
So
luck.
yeah, I just want to make that point with Ironclad. Like we had the PDI narrative, great. It was a great narrative. Let's get it to $1, right? Well, we've got one of those pump tires. Okay, we got Bitcoin as well. We got all kinds of stuff. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as we can rally behind some things. Some safe things. I think is the biggest point here. So what's the difference with the PDI and the pump tires die,
The
or even
difference the difference is that if the maker protocol was actually working correctly for Pulse Chain, if the oracles were working for PWETH,
Bitcoin? Mm-hmm.
not
And if the guys
Ethereum
didn't
ETH,
grift,
then it could peg and stay there pegged.
Did someone say if the oracle gets fixed that it could peg?
it
Because
can't
that's
fix.
wrong. That is wrong. How are you going to cover the 25 billion stablecoins out there?
I have a question.
That's what I was looking for in the when they answer that question.
You're going with a
Why are
hopium,
all of
brother.
us DeFi like gurus or whatever that think we know what we're talking about getting in the way of make or die like from showing the protocol
Well,
that's about to show how it's going to happen.
I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
Richard did
Those are
have the
answers
AMM
in
bot control.
programming languages that if we're going to have those presented for you, why would you stop them from being able to do that? That's what we've been working towards.
Honestly,
I have a
honestly,
So
all
question.
smart people knew
is
that
like
was
that
complete
sounds like
bullshit
an
from the get go.
XRP question.
Honestly, all smart people knew that was all from the get go. You couldn't fix the oracles. You can't change the contract to work without
Well, the
having the
AMM
necessary
bot can get
transaction.
some voting coins tokens called Maker. So there is
No, there's
that.
not enough. There's not enough points to get to change it.
What,
The
right
thing
now
requires
or before
admin
the
keys.
fork? And then before when you hold all those die bags. I mean, what are you trying to discuss here?
Well, I thought you were making a
Are you
point that
trying
you
to
could fix it.
discuss
You could
what
fix it so
happened
you can't.
before the fork or after the fork, the 2 days in between?
No, what I'm
Or, I
trying to
mean,
discuss
you
what's
know what I
possible
mean?
now
Because
with
to
all the
me,
bullshit
that's
narratives that
what
are
all
going on.
this
You
leads
asked me a
back to
question, so can
Richard
I
and
answer it?
those 2 days, right? And then leading up to those 2 days. So he knew what was going to happen.
When somebody and it's okay, we've all got things that we got to work through to be at that productive state. And sometimes if we're not hitting on sync or whatever, that's why you block people for a bit. And it's okay. I'm not supporting what's called being unreasonable, but that's what I'm saying. Sometimes if we're not sitting on sync and we're trying to have a productive conversation, like I think maybe even if it is permanent.
I
Yeah, I
didn't have
just
my
wanted to funding Jim's concern about bonded liquidity, right? Now, how bonded liquidity works is if you're heavily tied to it, like Pdai. We're talking about Pdai now. Tokens like atropa, tokens like teddy bear, they're the ones that are going to get affected the most. Pulse chain gets affected if they sell into Dai, but the market cap is shrinking. When the market cap shrinks, the more it shrinks, the less it's going to affect Pdai. That's why Richard Howard just wants everyone to sell. That's why he sold. The more people sell it and bring it down, then not much of it will route through the pulse pool back into Dai. So once you squash that bug, let's call it a bug. Once you squash that bug, it would never affect Pulse Chain again. Only like maybe minute if the minting was still people were able to do it. It'll be like an arbitrage of $5. You just got to kill the bug. Now, if you're paired to it with a little bit of liquidity, let's say 20% of your liquidity is paired to Pdai, you only get affected like if it drops 50%, your token might drop 5%, 10% at the most, depending on how big your other liquidity is. Like it won't affect your token as much. So when it comes to the bonded liquidity, they can't just keep extracting and nobody else but them can bridge out. They can only bridge out a certain amount. And because their market cap is 35 mil or whatever it is now, they can't extract that value. They can extract what's in the liquidity pools, which was what 300 something thousand. I don't know. I only saw a screenshot, didn't read into it too much. But the bonded liquidity is only the one token, the people who are connected to it. So let's say that Tropa was 100% connected to Pdai. It means they can only extract that 350,000, or probably even less, because it will affect like the way it routes, right? So in reality, that as long as people don't buy it and push it up and let it just die and people just sell, we won't be affected. That's why we're pushing this point. Like, people are free to do what they want, but guys, understand that if you do buy it, this could happen, and if you do sell it, this could happen. And just because I know you said you had a bit of concerns about bonded liquidity, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah,
Mike
I
is
think those
yours.
explainers are helpful. And when people, coming into the space, look for tools, some of the things that they get pointed to look at used to be coin market cap or something like that would be very popular, but a lot go to DEX screeners or DEX tools and things like that. And when I look at the chain of Pulsechain on DEX screener and you sort by deepest liquidity, saying to yourself, this looks like it's the most popular, or there's a lot of capital that is basically at risk here. So why wouldn't I join in and buy in to these things? So I'm not talking about the low liquidity things. I'm talking about the large liquidity things. And the large liquidity
Sorry,
things.
Gary.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gary. I've only got like 1 more minute until I'll be gone for like 10.
Oh, okay.
Just wanted to, because I know when I've looked at the liquidity, right, and people will look at it and say, oh wow, there's 42 million in atropa,
Yeah.
Right.
but that 42 million in atropa, right, is to Pdai,
Listen,
so they can only.
Yeah.
before
It's
you
a
finish that.
tropa die. Yeah.
Before you finish that, Hunter, guys, I had nested. If you didn't see the tweet Richard Hart put up, he's showing you if someone could max out in one clip and get all they can get out of PDI, if you could have an infinite mint, it shows the setup right there and how much slippage they would get, and they could only get like 360K total from all of it right now. Okay, so we've squashed the bug. We need to keep squishing. We need to stomp this out.
Well, that's what
We're
he's
getting
saying.
Coach,
Ooh,
go ahead.
including MakerDAO, which entitles him to voting capacity, especially if those other parties are not currently
Right.
voting.
So again, so it becomes a raid. So it like the raid was a good narrative back in the day when we were early bag holder, wannabes and sacrifice the raid idea, that all of that liquidity, but that liquidity hasn't been put into tradable or made it interesting enough for the actual possessors of these keys that also have big bags on their native token or their native blockchain of Ethereum to care. So like it does become
Exactly.
it becomes a meme chain, or it becomes an open ocean of new developers to come and build their product. And if those new developers have any experience in brand capital of their own with their own entities and companies, and they're treating this as blockchain logic, how do they approach their VC pool and say, hey, come over to the twerk chain? Like, that's what I'm asking, is how does this meta play to growth of participation instead of stagnation? That's my question.
Well, we need to get to Joseph Lubin, and we need to, somebody maybe like you, sir, would be able to talk to him and say, hey, look, we got this thing. Why can't we integrate it? Perhaps, I don't know. Contact Lubin or Novogratz or any of those guys, and please say
Yeah,
integrate.
and they
Please.
laugh, man.
I know.
Yeah,
What can I say?
It's difficult to bring those guys to the table when
Because of,
because of Richard Hart. Like, it's not just that.
and that's the point with this Pdai situation.
Yeah, so there are things that can, like admin keys can be a good thing. Richard Hart promotes this because it's the safest thing to promote. Not your keys, not your crypto. Admin keys, they can they can screw you. But the reality is, and to Richard Hart's defense, that's the best way to promote it, right? But there are things out there that admin keys are necessary. If the like things need to be changed, bridge, if something gets locked in the bridge, we're fucked. Imagine the bridge imagine the bridge had no admin keys.
Well, just more so what Gary was touching on when it comes to like liquidity and admin keys and things like that.
Well, like
I was saying that the atropa thing, right? The whole web that's on Pulsechain, effectively the admin key of the liquidity is bonded forever because he burned them, right? So he doesn't have ability to unlink that handcuff. And the same thing with someone said something earlier about Wise. Wise was this example where like $200 million worth or more of Ethereum is sitting there. It can never be extracted or pulled out. So it just like oscillates on the price between Ethereum. So like admin keys, good or bad? I don't think that's a settlable question, but like in general, the challenge I have marketing Pulsechain is, at least at like consensus events, is, hey, you guys, you have all of this stuff that's over here, this copies, one-to-one copy of all your protocols and brain capital, and it sits there. Why don't you do something with it by engaging and adopting? And for, since 2021, 22, since this was being talked about before it got launched, that's been a hard brick wall because I haven't seen anything that's been supported. I've only seen new things be launched, and they have their own marketing issues. So yeah, I don't know the messaging of Pulsechain now.
Can I say something on those copied tokens? I actually thought from day dot that was a stupid idea. It was the most stupidest idea I've ever heard from Richard Hart. I think that is the only stupid idea that I've heard from Richard Hart. The idea of them coming over and maybe honoring the stable coins, or maybe honoring this, or maybe honoring that. It was the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Nobody's going to honor that. They don't. Why would they come and go for a copy where you have these guys who sniped it out of the liquidity pools, when they can just go launch a whole new protocol from scratch that will have no bugs on it because the Oracle doesn't work. Like the most logical thing, like if I was Maker and someone told me, "Oh, why don't you try to make Maker work on Pulsechain?" I would laugh at them. I would, if I was a founder of Maker, I would laugh at them, because the fact that you're even suggesting this idea to me is not. You don't even know how crypto works. You're silly, and please just don't waste my time. Don't come back to me and ask me that question again, or any question, because clearly you have no clue how things work. And like that idea, it was just probably just hopium. Maybe a meme coin to a meme coin. Yes, I get that. But things with functions itself, it doesn't work that way. Maybe like if there are a few that will probably work, right? I'm not sure 100%. Is like Uniswap. That might work. The Oracle work on day one. It still would have not worked. It would have never worked even if they made the Oracle work on day one. Because what do you think they're going to honor the Pdai? Who's going to back the collateral? The collateral was worth, like $100,000, and there was 7 billion Pdai minted. If you want to go collect to how much Pulse was at the time, these stories and what people are saying are just hopium on top of hopium, and I found it funny and hilarious that people were actually thinking this.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on the atropa thing and all that liquidity with Pdai, and it looks scary because those two tokens paired together, they look at some astronomical, fuck millions or something. Whatever. His locked liquidity, he's got some outs with that. He left himself some back doors. I understand he's paired some other tokens he can infinitely print, and effectively, I think he could take, because what matters is all the pulse paired to atropa is what the danger is, of what Pdai could route through and get our stable coins through atropa. So he could effectively nuke Atropa as much as he wants and extract all that pulse liquidity out, and basically leave no outs for Pdai. Another way they could do it is certainly swapping anybody liquid Pdai into Atropa, removing a lot of that Pdai liquidity, and also, of course, removing it. But yeah, he's got some maneuvers he can do with that. But as long as we squash the bug that is Pdai, it's ineffective at affecting anything else.
I was going to say that Atropa's in the same place that Ethereum Classic was in before they merged from Ethereum Classic, where somebody had taken over their liquidity, and what he did was just completely fork the whole chain and start a whole new chain, which came the regular Ethereum that we all knew, the proof of work. So Atropa's in one of those places where it would be almost better off for them to just
Yeah, he's
completely
fork it.
nuke their just nuke their thing and
Yeah,
just
I don't know how hard it would be for this James Maria guy, but is it possible that he puts out tweets, he makes a stream that he sounds somewhat coherent while he is dumping the price completely, and because he extracts all of the PLS or whatever, and he just dumps his Ethereum or whatever, his Atropa and his treasury and all these other things, whatever is the best thing to sell. But he tells people, hey, I'm dumping everything, and then I don't know, to make them whole. I don't know, can he even airdrop them? Or but like he did extract like 13 or 14 million or something, didn't he, the other day? Like this James Maria guy or something.
He only
it
pulled
was 500K.
Yeah, 400, 500,000. But he said in email that his main thing is to salvage Teddy Bear, but he's also been dumping no nukes for the past hour, which is a different token, but it's tied to BFF and Finvesta and PLS Pup. Um, but
What is he selling for? What is he selling for?
for eWeath, sir, Ethereum
Wow,
Rapties. Um,
what a guy.
Yeah, so he's kind of, from what I'm gathering, I don't know. It's hard to pick up on James, but he seems like he's geeking out in a way. From my perspective, though, when I read this one, Richard tweeted like 10 times today, but there was one that really stuck out to me and it made me think. He said, most tokens suck. So when you take an Ethereum, all the things come over, the good, the bad, the ugly. And for the things that actually aren't decentralized, or you have counterparty risk, like hoping a DAO votes for not evil, then the thing that sucked over there likely sucks even more in the copy. He's talking about DAI.
People that know who developed, the maker DAO guy got killed or whatever, right? But there's all kinds of other people related to this DAO product protocol, and it does have billions of dollars worth of like capital sunk into it, right? As far as like a narrative, maybe some other stablecoin becomes more popular because Trump and Sachs make regulation to say it only has a bank account attached to it, kind of thing. But like, I don't know about the algorithmic stuff in the future necessarily. So yeah, so Richard being on the run is possibly a positive, right? Because you don't know where the guy is, just like you don't know where Satoshi is. Like that's a possibility about like this disappearing thing, and kind of just tweeting from Russia or Finland or wherever, something like that. But like the maker people, they're known. Like you can't. Eric is making tweets. Eric Wall is making tweets to the MakerDAO Foundation or whatever these people are that have the admin keys and can control the hat. With their tokens. So like, I don't know, man. I still, as far as a stable coin, think that Dai is useful. The bridged across Dai, the bridged across USDC. I mean, it's useful that we have stable coins there. We have these other things that are launched and called stable coins, but they have effectively no liquidity or the controlled liquidity as far as who pairs things with them. So I don't really call them these liquidity forks of these different tokens. I don't really think of them as like real stable coin. If this project gets significant capital across the bridge into Pulsechain. Like I don't think of those as stable coins. I think of things that come across as stable, play around, and then exit as stable from Ethereum. That's the only thing I can think of that is reliable as far as a psychological reliable because of the Lindy effect that they have been stable in Ethereum long enough.
So when he says the thing over there that sucked likely sucks even more as a copy, what do you take that as? He's talking about Pdai, which is now rebranded. They're a whole different.
No, not really, bro.
So what is it? Just explain it to me. I'm not trying to battle here, but
He
I'm reading as face
he
value.
he's he's talking about like all the like copies right there. He's not talking about just one, but
He's talking about all the,
everything.
basically all the shit coins that launched on Ethereum. Basically, 99% of the tokens that were launched on Pulse Chain that was a copy. He basically was talking about them. The idea of having a system state copy was just an idea to attract people. And then obviously it backfired with this Pdai. But that was from the community because they kept on promoting a narrative that you can tell they lied over and over again. How many times did the minting stop? About 14 times in the last 3 years.
But
How
what
many
he's
times did
saying,
they assume that this was
what
Richard Hart's wallet?
what he's
Sorry, you go.
saying in this tweet is that they actually aren't decentralized because you need a DAO to vote. That's what MakerDAO is. You have to vote on
Yes,
certain
correct.
things.
Correct.
You have to do that on Ethereum. You have to do that on Pulse
Yes.
Chain. You have either or. So what he's saying is it sucks because it's not decentralized in that manner because
Who
there's
has
admin
the
keys.
votes? Who has the votes has control of Maker. Period.
Correct.
It's
Okay. Who has the
There's no
votes?
votes.
No. Who has the votes has control of Maker. Period.
Okay.
Okay.
But do you remember when it was a few months back when I was like, oh God, Richard
It
voted on
doesn't.
this proposal.
It
No, Richard
no.
voted on this proposal.
Who
Remember?
controls Maker or who controls the votes controls Maker. Period. That's
So
what
who's
we that's what the
sorry. I can't
conversation
say he was
needs to.
talking.
No.
So,
Well,
Let's
that's
go
what
check.
real quick,
sorry. Yeah, I
real
just
quick.
want to say one. The guy saying like, not your keys, not your crypto, right? We all know the saying, not your keys, not your crypto. The DAO has a governance. If whoever controls that controls Maker, he's trying to tell us that, dude, this thing's not going to work. All this crap is not going to work. He's been saying this for a while. But we throw a different narrative because we sit there and try to overthink what Richard Hart is saying when it's most likely the simplest thing and not going to work. That's
so
it.
that's my
I just
Well,
that's my
thought.
well,
that's my
well.
biggest
That's the
thing.
thing. Well,
It's like
that's the thing.
why fork it? Why fork Ethereum if none of it's gonna work?
But at the same time, it's not at the level that it can be operating functionally.
Yeah, so
It's at the
then it's like an
bottom of
exploit.
ETH.
It's
It's
like
at
an
the no.
exploit.
It's the bottom of ETH. It's the bottom of Bitcoin. It's the bottom of Pulsechain. It's the bottom of Pulsex. It's the bottom of P Hex. It's the bottom of E Hex. It's the bottom of Ink. Like guys, do you actually understand what's really going on?
I do.
All this is
I know that
happening
Bitcoin.
now.
I know that
Everything is happening now. Like
Bitcoin is still at like I don't even know what the fuck it's at. I
everything
don't
I
happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason at the right time. Everybody
ain't care.
should understand that, guys.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Circling back though, the MakerDAO thing could, for the necessary fix, it needs the admin keys. I nested a thing that Alex from Hedron was saying about this. He said the pegging is technically not possible without the MakerDAO admin keys. The DAO itself doesn't have enough control to make the needed changes. And even if it did, not enough Maker exists in active Pulse chain wallets to operate the DAO. At least for now. I know about the emergency auctions that might happen soonish, but we can stop the minting and subsequent dumping in theory, through all these methods we've been talking about. But yeah.
um
so
for iron thing, and I don't mean this in the rudest like rude way. I'm actually trying this in the nicest way. And this is what happened, and this is how everyone falls in a trap. They overthink things. You literally have to read what Richard Hart wrote 14 times to understand it. All I had to do is read the first sentence
Yeah.
because I don't overthink things. I don't. You're looking for something that's not there. I'm not looking for something that's not there. I'm reading what it's there. I don't hold Pdai. I've never held Pdai. I don't care about Pdai. I don't hold Richard Hart's the pump me tokens. I don't hold any of them. So I'm just looking at it and reading it as is. You are looking for something and digging deep as hard as you can, and that you are
Well,
becoming
of
your
course,
own
bro.
worst
Of
enemy.
course. But
No.
like
I'm
think
not
of
look.
like,
I am not
but
And
looking.
also,
I'm
I
not.
just want to say, Hex only had his hand up for a very long
like
time, so maybe
hold
let him talk.
on, like you made that point. Like my point is I've been looking at this since 2023 of July, like one of the first people looking at all these things on the blockchain. So I have that net
Okay.
bias.
No,
You know
no.
what I mean? So it's like,
Someone
but
approached
at the
me.
same, but like at the same time, like
But you're
realize
trying to take credit off
understanding.
2023.
No, no,
Someone approached me
no, no, no,
in late
no.
2023
Hold
and
on.
asked me, "What do you think
Can I
about Pdai?"
finish?
Haunted. Let Coach finish.
But like, just like understand, like that's my point of view. Like, do I have that net bias of seeing all these things, all these transactions, all like everything on the blockchain? Yes. Do I understand all these things that actually happened in the last, like, I don't know, about a month and a half or stuff? Yes. Have I like talked to my community about it? 100%. And understand, like, it's like in terms of the maker protocol, it's operating exactly what it does on Ethereum. I understand that. But is it an exploit right now, currently, at like the the levels of where Pulsechain is at currently right now? 100%. Is there an oracle that can fix the prices? No, there is not. But understanding those like points, it's like on those levels, it's you take to your premise of what is actually going on, and then you can de-risk and you can actually see on the blockchain in terms of PGC, in terms of UFO, in terms of X protocol, of all those things actually happening on the blockchain. So that's where you can come to like pretext of like, okay, this individual is de-risking their position of what is actually going on in the pulse chain ecosystem, and understanding from that point where you can come to like understanding of like maybe this is the next pivot point where Richard Hart wants the community to actually go into. That's more going into Pulse, PulseX, Hex, P Hex, E Hex, Inc. But that at the same point, it's like we need to take the premise off of Pdai, atropa, and all that, and bring the community to the next, like that's the next meta. That's the next narrative. That's what we need to come to as a community, as one people, to actually establish the next steps to a 10x, to a 20x, to 30, whatever it takes, you know.
Yeah, but
Eh,
so the thing is, most people don't like Richard Hart. We love Richard Hart for whatever reason, but most people,
cool.
most people
Who
love
cares?
fucking. Okay, so you know what I
So,
mean.
so
Like,
Iron. So, in my opinion, Maria has done a lot of bullshit. I've witnessed him do a lot of things. I don't trust Maria with a 10-foot pole. So I don't put a lot of stock into everything Maria. He also said that Pulse Chain's going to absolutely fail if Pdai, a forked copy of Dai, doesn't go to $1. An entire global blockchain just going to die if a forked copy of Pdai doesn't go to $1. After he basically bought up an absolute ton of the supply and burnt it with his ecosystem, of course he's going to sell it like that, right? But in terms of, what Richard tried to do with Pulse Chain in all of his live streams, if you go back, everything was experimental. Everything was, this has never been done before. I don't know what this will do. This has never been done before. I don't know what this will do. And it was narrative, it was marketing, right? It was potentiality, it was possibility, it was experimental, right? So if you are a dev team on Ethereum and you have your thing forked over on Pulse Chain, there's the potential that you might be able to do something over on Pulse Chain. If something doesn't work because there's not an oracle on Pulse Chain, if something doesn't work because there's not something needed on Pulse Chain, and you actually want to do something on Pulse Chain, well, that's where, hey, if you want something to work, go make it work. But it was the potential of a full system state fork of Ethereum, right? It wasn't ever a guarantee of anything. So where does that land us now? We were always a community, especially during the sacrifice set, of decentralization, security. Well, to me, Pdai is the most tinfoil hat conversation post these last week's RH tweets that you can ever find in crypto. Because after the Richard's trying to peg Pdai to $1 narrative dies a flatlined death, which it just did, and that's a fact. So what is the actual message of Pulsechain now? Well, I think that the foundational things for what Richard started us with was a great chain, a robust chain, a decentralized chain, a chain that's innovative, a chain where, everyone's taking their own responsibility, not your keys, not your coins, learning liquidity, doing all these different things. We get hit with the SEC. We beat the SEC. But I think we get so caught up in this ocean of bullshit and greed and tinfoil hat.
I would just like to say that the exploiter has not done anything. He actually has done some things today on both the wallets, the 5996
But
and
again, like what do we
but
care at this
he
point if he only has $500,000 left of extractable value and past the value on the chain?
he could keep going. He hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
He could
Well, of
keep
course
he could
he's
keep
not, because he wants to see if people are stupid enough to be tinfoil hat enough to buy the shit back up again, dude.
Yeah, 100%.
Give me a break.
nah.